Isn't he still standing out there, Mike?
Oh, he's there.
I'm sure he is.
Did finance, did you guys call yourself to order yet? Okay.
What time is it? Well, after 6, call ourselves to order. How's that?
Thanks, Susan.
Any executive session where I still have my job is a good one.
Okay, finance is now, called themselves to order, so
Yep.
they're open and select board is back into open session here. Okay, moving on here, we're returned to open session and we wanna discuss and or ratify, the fire union contract for fiscal year 23 to 25. Anyone have any questions about this before we get into a vote?
So make a motion to accept the contract of the fire department.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thanks, Ryan.
When you're ready, last page for signatures.
Is this just Dan or all of us? All of them, okay. You wanna start it and
Alright, well, while we do that, we can carry on here.
Okay.
The next item, which is item 5, is the annual town meeting discussion and recommendation. So, where should we start?
So just changes on the warrant that the board should know about. They're relatively minor. The Article 8 will be amended in the motion from the moderator to exclude all of the education line items. So Quabbin, Monty Tech, and the Quabbin debt, just so we don't double vote the budget. That's just a housekeeping issue. But council has worked with the moderator just to slightly tweak that to say excluding this, so that's the quote-unquote general government vote, and then the education votes will come later. The planning board informed me today that there'll be a semicolon change of some significance in the bylaws, so you'll hear that, so that's not a surprise. It's one of those semicolons that will either make or break the town, so we're gonna make sure that that's included. And then, I spoke with the library trustees. This was, more of a me issue, late communication, me coming in on the capital plan, but they do not need the capital items that they put on the capital plan for this year, which is the foundation, which they have funding for and they haven't started, and then the basement floor, which wouldn't be started until the foundation project and likely won't be addressed until FY24. So they're gonna pull both of those articles out of the capital plan, which frees up $40,000 in free cash for next year, which we need for budget flexibility. So that's I guess a larger change, but I don't think a very controversial one. If they don't need the money, then we should use it for something else.
So, I don't remember. So did we already allocate it in previous years? Is that what happened, or?
So there's 33,000 in the current budgets and accounts allocated for the foundation project.
Yep.
I'm gonna work with the library to execute that project this year. And then what we wanna do is do a larger assessment of the library and build a longer term capital plan, nest it with ours to have a more firm grasp of what the costs are gonna be, and fit that into the master plan and strategic plan for buildings. So that'll follow your work on public safety building and other comments, so we really have a grasp of town buildings. Cause they're impacted if town hall ever moves fully into this building, so we just wanna get a better grasp of that before we start appropriating monies that we're probably not gonna use.
Did you copy the capital committee on this, just the?
Not yet, but I will try and grab them before town meeting. This happened about an hour ago. And then, but their library's fine with it and they understand, and I'm gonna go talk with them about longer term planning.
Okay.
The other item of note, I met with the officials from Quabbin. They are not the school committee, so they do not have any budget authority like I do. We didn't talk numbers or anything, but we did talk the procedure of the vote that you're recommending, or that you so far have recommended to disapprove the school committees or reject the school committee's budget, to make sure that was as transparent as possible. That's been an issue in previous iterations of this type of vote. So we talked through those mechanics to make sure that they understood what we were gonna say and were comfortable with how their numbers were presented. And everything is good. They understand that we have a different position than they have in terms of recommendation, and that's fine. I also spoke with the other communities, and there's varying everybody's waiting to see what Hubbardston does on the school budget at this point, so.
They won't have to wait much longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just so we're clear, so we're in our budget, so we're all clear, cause you're right, this has happened before, where it's been confusing. Our budget, and we're just gonna be clear with them, is not to approve the numbers given to us by the school district. It is approving, what's in there based on our recommendations as a whole.
So that is in the budget explanation on the printed warrant.
Yep.
It is on this budget highlight sheet that I'll be handing out to town meeting. And I've asked on your behalf, the moderator, to give a brief budget overview before Article 8, and I will mention that Article 10 will include a vote that would reject the school committee's budget, just so everybody knows what they're voting on. And then Susan, in years past, you've spoken on the Quabbin article, so I told the moderator you may or may not wanna speak there.
Yeah, I have some remarks.
So I let him know,
You'll like them.
I let him know, that you might be speaking, so
Okay.
everything's coordinated, unless there's any changes in the budget, there's no changes to any numbers that were recommended by the select board or the finance committee.
So, Susan, do your remarks include a succinct explanation to town members about what they're voting on and how to vote to do what they wanna do? Cause
Yes.
isn't it a yes vote we're looking for
Yes,
to decline the budget?
I think so, yes.
Excellent, thank you.
So the article recommends your budget number, which is a rejection of the school committee's budget, so a yes vote equals a no vote for the school committee.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're still not gonna go clean, man, that's just, which is fine, I mean, it's confusing, so, for everyone who's not in this room.
And my comments will be brief on this, but it's, the request in the latest iteration of the Quabbin budget is for $407,633, or an 8.07% increase. New revenues for FY23 that are estimated in this budget are $271,000, so it's $135,000 more than all the new money that we have for FY23, the current request.
Yep.
So to fill that gap, it would be a $205,000 combination of cut, one-time revenues, and it'd be a lot. It would pretty much double the budget request for this year,
Okay.
which Hubbardston cannot afford.
So under items 5 and 6 on the agenda, we have the annual town meeting discussion and recommendation, parentheses, potential vote, and then fiscal year 23 budget discussion, parentheses, and potential vote. I'm assuming the and potential vote's only on here if we chose, and collectively, or however you wanna call it, to change what's in the current warrant.
Yes. Minus the changes that I just presented, making sure you're okay with all those changes and everybody understands. That's the semicolon, the capital plan, and the other one that I mentioned. The language change for Article 8, which is just to make it clear that we're not double voting the education budget.
Okay, so we will have to take action on those changes now.
I don't think action's needed because they're housekeeping,
Okay, sounds good.
but if you wanna do more than that, yes, you would need to vote and direct, and then I need to run over to the center school and make sure that it's clean.
Much as I kinda wanna see that.
So basically you removed 9, 10, and 11 from 8, separated them out.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, while we're talking about town meeting, as far as, sometimes we go over, and put down select board members responsible for each article. Is that on the documents we're gonna be receiving at town meeting, just so we're clear? I don't really care, I'm just wondering.
Your name will be read as the motion, just Mr. Galante moves, but you're not responsible for the article, anyone can speak to the
Well,
articles.
if they get a second, so, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So the prep I've done with the moderator and he's approved is I'm going to give a quick welcome, so we have a small presentation we wanna do. And then Dan's asked to give a state of the town, and we'll move right into town meeting. Right before the budget article 8, I would give a overview of the budget, very brief, less than 2 minutes. And then Susan has a spot for Article 10, The planning board has to give a report on both 22 and 23, so those are the preset speaking. Anyone can speak to anything else or designate me or anyone else to answer any questions. And we also have David here, 2 town administrators for 1 town meeting. We are ready. Council will be there as well, and we have reviewed the scripts with the moderator to make sure he's comfortable with everything, so a lot of prep. I feel like we're ready.
As long as we get 50 people.
Yeah, the usual. Here we go.
We should be fine.
Get your phones ready.
That's the only thing I can't help you with.
I have a question on one of the articles. So Habitat for Humanity, so Ryan, I think you had sent an email on this. With the original request, from to CPC as well as to ARPA, so they mirrored each other, was in the amount of $25,000, cause they felt like they were coming in lower than what they, had promised to Habitat for that fundraising number. Do we know what the ultimate amount that they were able to raise through fundraising has been?
I don't feel comfortable answering that, but I do know that Deb and Alice plan on speaking to the article.
Alright, so if I
And
understand.
Chuck knows, he's married to one of them.
I know, and I already know the answer, but the reason I asked the question is, I guess, if we have raised a portion of that fund, right? My concern is, asking for the full amount of that 25,000. I think in your article or in your email you had stated, or I think you had forwarded Deb's piece when she had talked to the head of Habitat. They had said that the actual cost that they ended up incurring was somewhere around like $42,500, as opposed to what they originally thought, because all prices and so forth were higher. But I guess my concern is, we've already contributed to this project. They told us what they needed. We've gone forward. The fundraising crew for it went forward to raise those funds. We said it would be up to, that 25,000, and I feel like it's doing more, right? Like, we said we give up to that 25, but my concern, the reason I bring it up here and not just on the floor, is that if that article fails tonight or fails in its entirety, my concern is we have the ARPA approval on the books, so they would just resort to the ARPA $25,000 funds. And I'm just wondering, as an item not really anticipated by the chair on this piece, but still related to this article, if the board has any interest to rediscuss whether we continue to keep that 25,000 appropriated for the ARPA, from ARPA, in the event that the CPC article fails up to that $25,000. If that makes sense.
So basically you're saying to talk about changing the number for ARPA in case this fails, so that way it's not a full 25.
Cause especially in light of all the conversations with school and so forth, we need all the pennies we can get, and I'm very committed to the Habitat for Humanity project, very much in support of it, and I think it's fantastic, but I feel like, between the Committee for Habitat and the town, either through the CPC or ARPA, we've met the obligation we were asked for, and we need to, appropriate those funds for other things.
So what is the full dollar amount that they've raised?
So I wanna say it's probably close to about 20K, I think they had about a 5K delta.
How much they raised?
How much, the Habitat, committee raised for the purposes,
More than 20.
was it 120, so it's less than a 5 delta,
Okay, so all I need is $5,000.
to get to the number that the town had promised to, or the committee had promised on behalf
Well,
of.
The
Well,
25, right?
I'm not sure if it was actually promised, this is what we'd like you to raise. But then, as everyone knows, the cost of materials are a lot higher than when this was discussed, so.
I thought the ARPA vote was for 25, contingent on the warrant failing. I don't recall any conversation about offsetting other funds.
Well, so going back to that, Susan, so I guess it's theoretically speaking, if the article passes but doesn't pass in its entirety, we could argue that it passed in some form, therefore we don't use ARPA at all, because that's not what we said. Alternatively though, if it fails, I don't want the check essentially going to Ryan and say, we'll take that 25K now.
No, I I get that, but what I'm talking about were the conditions that were set forth when ARPA gave the approval.
Yes.
The committee gave it the
Yes.
approval. And I don't think that was one of them.
I agree.
Okay.
But I think from the standpoint of the select board, if the select board doesn't do anything, right? If they take if we do not reconsider, take no action on that article, and CPC fails, I think they're gonna come to the town and say, okay, we'll take
That's right,
that 25,000 from ARPA now, thank you.
that's right.
And then we're stuck. I'm okay with voting it however we need to, whatever
Right,
the idea is, I just wanna make sure we have discussion.
make sure that I didn't miss anything in terms of
You
the
didn't.
original ask at
You didn't
the
miss anything.
ARPA committee, okay,
You're correct.
okay.
I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on that, but.
So is the whole Habitat committee asking for the full amount, or is it, like, is Habitat, who's asking for how much? And are there, like, split with the committees, like, that's what I wanna know, like, is it, who's still asking for what?
So I believe Habitat's still asking for all of it.
Yeah,
I believe, my understanding is it's a partial, ideas on the committee as to some people are in support of the whole thing and some people aren't,
okay.
so. But I don't know what's gonna come out, if any of that's gonna come out at town meeting. I don't know if anyone's gonna stand up and be like, 25,000 CPC, what are we doing? So, but I just wanna be prepared.
I'm going to the email, I just wanna, so, guess I gotta find it.
I think, Ryan had forwarded Deb's email, if I recall
Yeah.
correctly.
She asked me to, yep.
There it is. Okay, so I'm gonna, this is from Deb, so I'm gonna read it, okay, everybody? Ryan, thanks so much for your responses to my previous email. I have finally just gotten to speak with the director from Habitat. They are looking at a deficit of about 42,000. Approximate is 23,000 that is usually raised from in-kind donations. Example, a builder will have extra insulation they will donate, or other such sources that are just not forthcoming because of COVID and lack of materials. The other 18,000 is from cost overages, so that's 23,000 plus 18,000, which is 51, okay,
23 and 18,
yeah,
41.
41,000, sorry, between 42 and 41, whatever, so we'll squat about $1,000. The other 18,000 is from cost overages, in part, truth be told, because the budget was forecast a bit shorter than it should have been. As with all nonprofits, raising money has become more difficult these last couple of years for Habitat for Humanity. While Hubbardston has no formal contract with Habitat, towns who do choose to work with Habitat to get an affordable home built are relied upon heavily for funding. Please share this information with the select board, let me know who's deciding and how the town wants me to present the warrant article at town meeting. Level Pond Association offered the $1,000 match for donations, blah, blah, blah. No offense to blah, 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 but that was enough for what we need. So, just in saying all that, to restate again, it's between 41 and 42,000. They are looking at a deficit of 41 and 42,000. So, what we're saying here is, if the article passes, the article's for 25,000, correct? That doesn't solve all of it. That doesn't get them all of what they want. So if that's the case, do they then go to ARPA for the rest, for what was previously?
Well, no, cause they've already raised 20,000. So if
I
you,
thought so too, it's just I'm trying to figure out where that's in here,
Each
and it's not.
20 or more.
but what,
I can't speak to those details.
okay, but we'll just say 20 just for a round number, but
Scared as I am.
what Heather's saying is that the initial, original pledge was for 25, so that's what she's saying. So the difference between 20 and 25 is $5,000, but they're asking for 41 or whatever the number was now.
Right,
So that's,
On top of what they've already raised?
no,
maybe,
Okay.
though, I don't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
it
I'm not
sounds to
sure
me- yeah,
about.
that
I think
sounds
so,
to
that's
me
why I
like they
found
are.
it,
Yeah,
that's why I
it's
went
on
after
top.
the email, because I think it
Yeah.
is. I think,
on top of the 20?
Yes.
I think the 20's not,
I don't think they're asking for an additional $42,000. Well, my understanding is they would like to get the $25,000 from tonight's vote.
yeah,
Whether or not they go for ARPA funds, my understanding was the request for the ARPA funds was if we don't get the 25,000.
Me too, and I thought this was
So-
all
Yeah.
happening okay until this email came, and then it made me think that
Yeah,
that the town article, the warrant article wasn't gonna be enough, so that's why I checked out the email, so I'm not sure, I think we need to talk to Deb prior to town meeting, just
You
to
can
make sure.
get a clarification, but that's my understanding.
That'd be great, because that's easy, if that's the answer, then,
Because the original conversations that had been going on was, well, we raised, and I'm just gonna say 20,000. They said they wanted 25. We raised 20, so we're only gonna give them 5. And then the conversation went back to Habitat, and they said, well, that's good, but we have overruns. We underestimated this project for many reasons, most of which was cost of materials. They didn't get as much donations and the cost that they had to buy. So that's what they're looking for, the full 25, not just a portion of that 25.
okay, that would be totally fine, I didn't understand the reason for the email then, because
right,
the 25 was coming.
right.
Because, so that's why I think we need some clarification, so it's fine.
The reason for the email was, do we give them the 20, do we still keep it at 25, or should we say, well, we raised 20 and we only need to give them 5 now? Or we give them 10, or whatever the amount, should the amount change because of the amount of money? Because they raised more money than they expected they were going to be able to.
Oh, we definitely need clarification then, cause I
Yeah.
literally
I-
read it the
yeah,
opposite way.
Yeah.
Alright,
So-
so, Article 20, if it passes, it's a done deal, everybody's happy, right? No more money needed?
Well, I guess that brings one question, so if Habitat at the end of the day says we need 42,000, if the committee raised 20,000, right? That's
Right.
only a $22,000 delta, so we're gonna give them 3,000 extra in CPC money, just
Now,
to say happy go lucky.
I think the 42 is an addition, but again,
Oh,
I
we're
don't,
back to-
those
okay.
details, that,
So we need
talk-
an
talk to
interpretation.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Fine,
gotcha.
we'll just get clarification on it, so. Alright, no, I'm glad we brought this up. Any other questions on this? 'Cause
Where are we gonna get clarification?
From Deb,
When? On the
Shortly.
floor?
yeah, before probably, yeah, we'll tackle her.
One at a time.
Uh,
Get clarification one at a time.
one at a time.
Yep.
Or she could just come tell us all together.
Yeah,
But not talk.
She may not be
Well,
here yet.
Okay. Alright, okay, we'll move on real quick. So Ryan, I have a question on page 11. So in the table there, free cash spending plan fiscal year 2023, line E, has a value that is no longer gonna be the value. So is that part of the changes? Because it's no longer 444,500, it's minus 40,000 of that,
Correct.
right? So we'll just have to make a note of that somehow.
So that chart is for extra information.
Okay.
It's not tied to the vote, just so people can see that we have a plan for the free cash.
Alright.
David added that, great add. But it'll mean that there'll be 76,000 in unappropriated free cash, which will roll into next year, which will be really useful in potential budget discussions or, there's always a road to fix, so.
Yep. Okay. So still under this, anyone have other questions on either the annual town meeting or budget, for fiscal year 23? No? Okay, though I didn't do it before, I'm sorry, but as far as, anyone here for open session, we are in, no, Mike, nobody else, David? Okay, okay.
In matters not anticipated, we gave each member of the select board a construction schedule from dispatch. So we will be watching to see the site surveying beginning on Friday. This is for the municipal tower, Gardner Road. The tower is scheduled to be installed in August, the first week in August, which is 7 weeks or so.
We've already got the materials, right?
They're down at the DPW.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So just a question on the tower piece, Ryan. So are they still planning to go out to bid to get cell phone providers to put their equipment on the tower?
Yes.
Are we anticipating that we might have trouble getting bids for that, considering we have the outside tower that's going through planning board right now, and those folks may or may not have indicated that they didn't wish to use our tower?
I'm concerned about it, yes.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
David did send an RFP out quite a while ago to dispatch for technical review. We were told that technical review cannot happen until the tower is up, so they can see technically what's happening. I've asked that it move simultaneously so that we can know the answer to that question.
They can't do things in parallel, you know that.
We have a
Okay.
construction schedule.
Okay, yeah, no, appreciate it, I mean,
Taking
it's
years
a
for
big
that.
step, yeah, it's a big step. Okay, anything from anyone else?
Are we currently on track with the construction schedule?
The site surveying will be done Friday or Monday.
Okay,
We'll
so
know.
close.
Item 7, so yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Do you need a motion to adjourn, or are we
Yes.
staying open through the meeting?
I survey your budget.
No.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah.
Second.
Not debatable, all in
Can we
favor?
vote?
Aye.
Yes.
Finance can motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
I'm super,
Time for democracy. Who's excited?
super excited.
Oh, you said.
David's excited.
Always a fun day. Let's see what goes sideways on the floor. Hopefully nothing, yes, fine.
Did you get that through the gym?
Just the wood planks.
Yes.
Yeah,
On the side? Okay.
yeah, the
I'm
gym.
gonna leave my car here.
Yeah, I'm walking over. I wouldn't try.
Probably have a better parking
Try-